Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shritapadakamam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganadvita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Rama Hare Hare. So we are studying chapter 14. We covered up to verse 20. So we understood about modes, how modes operate. The three modes are Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. And they are present in everybody in different quantities. And sometimes one mode is prominent, sometimes some other mode is prominent. Based on the mode one is operating in, one's eating habits, one's way of thinking, one's everything is determined by how one is bound by the modes. The characteristics of modes we discussed. So now we are in the final section, 20th onwards. Arjuna Vacha Kairlingais Tringunan Etan Atito Bhavati Prabho
Prabho
Achara Katham Chaitams
Achara Katham Chaitam
Tringunan Ativartate.
Tringunan Ativartate.
Anyone please read?
Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior and how does he transcend the modes of nature?
So the three gunas are binding everybody in the material world. But for a person who is liberated, means one who has achieved perfection of life. So what is his behavior? How does he live in this world? Right? One who has liberated, how he will behave, how he transcends the modes. In this verse, Arjuna's questions are very appropriate. He wants to know the symptoms of a person who has already transcended the three modes. One is above and beyond the modes. He first inquires of the symptoms of such a transcendental person. How can one understand that he already transcended the influence of the modes of material nature? The second question asks how he lives and what his activities are. Are they regulated or unregulated? Then Arjuna inquires of the means by which he can attain the transcendental nature. So we discussed the three modes influence the living entity, but one who is liberated, he is above the three modes. It has a name. The name is called Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha. So there is lowest is mode of ignorance, which is Tamoguna, and above that mode of ignorance means a person who is very dull and who does not, he's not able to take a decision, confused, always in anxiety, stressed out, don't know what is right, what is wrong, don't take any accountability, uh, always sleepy, habituated to drinking wine, or very, very bad, everything is wrong about them. So above that is mode of passion, one who is always active, wanted to achieve something in life, full of desires, passionate, never satisfied. Those are all mode of passion. Above that is mode of goodness. One is sattva guna, means somewhat, he's always happy, satisfied with whatever he has in life, does not hanker too much, and is not greedy, is not he's always well situated, has faith in God. So that, but one can even go above the mode of goodness. Above mode of goodness means it is Suddha Sattva, transcendental. A pure devotee of Lord a is above the three modes, because uh, he's not seeking happiness in this world. He's just devoted to Lord all in all its activities. Sri Bhagavan Vacha
Sri Bhagavan
Shri
Vacha
Bhagavan Vacha
Prakasham cha Pravritim cha
Prakasham
Prakasham
cha
cha
Pravritim
Pravritim
cha
cha
Moham eva cha Pandava
Moham
Moham
eva
eva
cha
cha
Pandava
Pandava
Adveshti Sampravrittani
Nadvesti
Navesi
Sampravrittani
Sampravartani
Nanivrittani Kankshati
Nanivrittani
Nivritrani
Kankshati
Kankar
Udasina Vadasino
Udasino
Udasino
Vadasino
Vadasino
Gunairyo na Vichalyate
Gunairyo
Gunaiyo
na
na
Vichalyate
Vichalyate
Gunavartanta Ityevam
Gunavartantaivevam
Yovatishthati Nengate
Yotishthati negate
Samadukha Sukhaswatsta
Samadukha
Samadukasvata
Sukhasvata
Samaloshtam Sakanchana
Samaloktam Sakanchana
Kancana
Tulya Priya Yodhiras
Tulya Priya
Priya
Priya Yogiras
Priyodhiras
Tulya Nindatma Samstuti
Tulya
Tulyanindatma
Nidatma
Samstuti
Mana Yostulyas
Manapamana
Manapamana
Yostulyas
Tulyas
Tulyo
Tulyo Mitra
Mitradipakshyo
Yo
Mitambha Parityagi
Sarvadharma Parityagi
Anatita Sayuchyate.
Gunatita
Gunatita
Sayuchyate.
Please read, anyone.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these rejections of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes are alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of stone and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature.
Yeah. So these are some of the characteristics of a pure devotee. Pure devotee. So Arjuna asked about what? So if a person already crossed all the modes, so the three modes are still material, right? If you remember, even if one is situated all his life in mode of goodness, he can only go to which planet at most? Anybody remember?
Swargaloka.
Yeah, higher planets, as well, Brahmaloka, Swargaloka is just a little better than, even mode of passion, people can go to Swargaloka if they are very pious. Swargaloka is like a 5-star hotel, I said, right? You just expend, and again after your your credits are done, your good karma is over, you will come back to again the karma bhumi, like earthly planets. Mode of goodness people who lived all their life sincerely, they can at most go to Brahmaloka. But a pure devotee who has these characteristics, who said, Krishna said, these are the qualities of a pure devotee, who is above the three modes, right? Such a person can go where? He can go to spiritual world. He is liberated. So he is not bound by material world. So some of the characteristics are: who does not hate illumination, attachment, delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear. Doesn't hate any of these. Illumination, attachment, and delusion. Who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of material qualities. Remaining neutral and transcendental. One second. Yeah. Remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress. Right? Modes alone are active, means whatever actions he performs, he is active, he is performing his duties, but he understands it's only the modes that are active. I am not the person who is going after this. It is okay, my Rajoguna, my Tamoguna is active right now. So he can distinguish himself from the influence of the modes, right? So he acts independent of the modes. If he is eating, yeah, he is eating, but he doesn't think, he understands it is the body that is taken care. He clearly distinguishes himself from the body, right? Modes alone are active in everything he does, remaining neutral, transcendental. Transcendental means beyond. Neutral, everything, modes are acting in his life. He is participating in all the activities, but he's like water drop on, on a, what do you call,
Lotus.
lotus. Yeah, water drop on a lotus, right? He's not touched by it. He's part of the equation, but he's never touched by it. Knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress. He's not too much, too much happy, or not, neither too much miserable, right? Who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, right? He looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, right, or a piece of gold with an equal eye. Can anybody see like that among all of us? Can you see one stone and a piece of gold equally if I give you both? How can we see that? Any answers, any thoughts? how can we see gold and sand equally? I would like anybody to open up and
One thing example is like after demonetization, that 500 and paper are one.
When you are in spiritual world,
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
in Kali Yuga, I think it is very difficult to see both the piece of earth and the gold as the same. I think it's the same case with everybody, Prabhuji. It's very difficult.
So when it says stone and piece of gold can be seen equally, the understanding is like this. Can a stone be used in construction of a temple of God? Yes? Yes,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Can a piece of gold be used in the temple, to decorate the vigrahas, the deities? Right? So when a pure devotee sees a stone or gold, what is he looking at? He's actually seeing how it can be used for the service of the Lord. See this point, right? So both of them are equal to him. Both can be used in the service of the Lord, right? A stone can be used in constructing a building, or a gold can be used for the pleasure of the Lord. By decorating the Lord, the devotee feels happy. So when it says he can see a lump of earth, a stone, or piece of gold equal, it is actually in purpose. It's not about, like, you cannot see gold and it's not like physical vision to be equal. This is a very deep point. As one advances spiritually, right, he will be able to see how everything can be used for the pleasure of the Lord. Generally, how we see everything in this world, if I see a good house, how can I live? How can I get such a house and I live in that house? That is the general thinking. If I see a good car going on the road, like a Tesla, the high-end car, one may think how I can enjoy such a car, right? Generally, people see everything in this world from the perspective of how I can enjoy in this world with that object. That is the eye of sense gratification, means how can I get it and I enjoy it. That is the way people see in this world in general, right? Why only him? Why should not I have it, right? So for such a person, if I give gold, he values it. If I give a stone, he doesn't value it, because it's from his own perspective, gold is valuable, stone is not valuable. But from a devotee's perspective or a pure spiritual person's perspective, he sees everything. If he sees a person, he thinks how he is a good devotee than me. Everybody, he thinks he's better. The other person is better than. He thinks every other person is a better devotee than myself. He never thinks that he is the best devotee. He never ever thinks. If he thinks, then he's not really at that consciousness. And he sees anything, right? If he has his home, right? His home, he thinks that this home is not my home. This is Krishna's home, Rama's home. I am in this home to serve Rama or to serve Krishna. That is how he sees. So he sees himself as a servant of God in every aspect. He doesn't think this home is mine and I'm the proprietor of this home, or this building is mine, this car is mine. He thinks everything is God's. I am God's servant. And to serve God, I have to live in this home. That's how he thinks. So he sees, if he sees gold, if he sees stone, he sees both can be used in the service of God. It is so he always perceives how Lord would be satisfied by using this in his service. So now, can you see, through intention, can we see all of these as equal? Is everybody understood? Did everybody understand?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
So it's a very key point, because as we spiritualize our life, it is about how we consciously see things of this world that changes. That has to change. That is the real transformation. Right? When a person goes through transformation, when he's spiritualized, it means how he sees things of this world, how he perceives things of this world. It can be things like this, stone and gold, or events. Events means sometimes good things happen, sometimes bad things happen. How he sees the hand of God in everything. Things, events, and people. People is a third aspect. How he sees everybody as a part and parcel of God. Everybody means seeing everybody, every jiva as pure spirit soul, right? Even though they might be acting against us, or they may be externally, just like Jesus Christ, when he was about to be killed, when he was crucified, he was about to die, and the people who he trusted are killing him at the end of it. At that time, he was not saying, why are you killing? No, I didn't do anything wrong. He didn't say any of it. He didn't defend himself. He said, oh God, please forgive these children of you who do not know what they are doing. Can you imagine the limits of his compassion? Like that, so many such. Even Haridas Thakur, you may not be aware, Haridas Thakur is 500 years ago, during Lord Chaitanya's time, he was beaten in 26 marketplaces for chanting the holy name of Lord 24 hours a day. That was the kind of cultural environment was there at the time. So he was being beaten, and he would not even, curse them, or he would not retaliate. And all the beatings were actually taken by God himself. He did not have any pain, and he would only pray that those people who are trying to punish him will not get punished. The same mood as Jesus. We consider Jesus as another great devotee, that's all. So the idea is, this is the consciousness. It's when we advance spiritually, what really changes is one's way of seeing things of this world. Right? It will be things. Things is the easiest. Seeing gold and rock as same, that is the easiest thing. Things, and then little difficult than things is events. Sometimes very good things happen in your life. Sometimes very, very bad thing. You lose money, you lose loved ones, or you lose your goals or whatever, right? Or you can't achieve your goals. Those are all events. How do you handle events equally? In seeing the hand of God in such situations, right? And without cursing back, Lord, sometimes people are so upset, they think, God, their faith in God reduces. It's actually the time to increase our faith when we lose something. You don't know why it is good for you at that moment, because you're only seeing the narrow perspective of your life. But in the bigger equation, that might be the best thing for you at that time. You don't know at this time. Many times people realize at a later point, actually that happened for my good, right? So seeing the hand of God in everything that happens to you, that is events. And then ultimately people are very difficult to deal. There are, people who we cannot just face them. It's very difficult to stay alongside with them, right? So how do you handle, people well, without any negativity, right? Sometimes good people, sometimes bad people, any people, right? That's the third level. So these are the three levels of So how do you achieve all of this? Through spiritual practice, right? Through japa, any of these, 9 devotion, smaranam, kirtanam, Vishnu smaranam, padasevanam, dasyam, vandanam, atmanivedanam. So all these processes of Navavida Bhakti, any of these will bring us to that level of consciousness, right? And ultimately it is about how conscious you are of God. That is the whole aspect, right? How conscious so the more conscious we are of God in everything we do, then we get there. It's just a matter of time. And to get there, you cannot just become by thinking. You have to actually do some practical thing like japa, right? Or some service in the temple. So you have to do some practical service. Then it's like knowledge is like putting all the vegetables in a pot. But actual transformation of the heart, this knowledge is there, we are discussing. This is good intellectual, you're getting intellectual stimulation, you're gaining the knowledge. But knowledge will remain theory until you actually practice yoga. Yoga means japa. For example, for us, the simplest is chanting the holy name every day, right? So when we perform japa, automatically our heart would transform. And all of these would manifest, these characteristics would manifest in our life. Right? Who is equal towards the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. Right? Okay? Who is equal towards desirable and undesirable. Right? Sometimes desirable things exist in our life, undesirable things exist in our life. You don't want to meet certain people, but the social circumstances will make you meet. It's an undesirable situation, right? So one should be equal towards all these things, right? Equalness, right? That's the thing expressed here. Study, situated equally well in praise and blame. This is handling people. Only people can give a praise or blame, right? Or honor or dishonor. People only give honor and dishonor. When we get honored, we do not think we deserve it. When we are dishonored, also, we are not too disturbed, right? Sometimes we get dishonor. We sometimes because of our own mistake, or sometimes it's just a blame. It's possible, right? So in all these situations, one should remain steady. Immediately you might go through emotional trauma, but how fast can you recover from that situation, right? Who treat alike both friend and enemy. A friend and enemy, both of them, right? It's very difficult. Can we treat our friend and enemy together equally? It's very difficult. How you can do that? Only when you see your friend or your enemy as a potential devotee, as a servant of God, right? Ultimately, he is also an Atma. A person became an enemy because of your karmic situation, right? He is giving your karma. He is actually delivering your karma. He is just an instrument, right? Whatever we deserve to get, dishonor or blame, all of those things come through different people, and we may treat them as our enemy, but actually it is what? It is just he's delivering your karma to you. That's all. Whatever we deserve to get, whatever is in our prarabdha karma, we all have to face. There is no escape. By being a devotee, you get the consciousness, you get the tools to actually deal with these situations better. That is the main difference. And also overall, you will be protected in the situations, right? By God. So, and who has renounced all material activities, such a person is said to have transcended the modes. So this is the highest state of consciousness one can get right? When he transcends, and that is possible through sincere spiritual practices. Yeah, so here, yeah, please read some of this.
Arjuna submitted 3 different questions, and the Lord answers them one after another. In these verses, Krishna first indicates that a person transcendentally situated has no envy and does not hanker for anything. When a living entity stays in this material world, embodied by the material body, it is to be understood that he is under the control of one of the 3 modes of material nature. When he is actually out of the body, then he is out of the clutches of the material modes of nature.
Yeah. When he's actually out of the body, then he is out of the clutches of material nature. Yeah, continue.
But as long as he is not out of the material body, he should be neutral. He should engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that his identity with the material body will automatically be forgotten. When one is conscious of the material body, he acts only for sense gratification. But when one transfers the consciousness to Krishna, sense gratification automatically stops.
So when I say, when we become conscious of Krishna, we naturally become not so conscious of our body. Right now, we are all conscious of our material body only, primarily, right? How to eat, how to taste nice things, how to see nice things, how to hear nice things. These are all material sense gratificatory things. But when one transfers his consciousness to Krishna, when he completely focuses on Krishna, automatically that automatically the sense gratification stops, because he is totally focused on Krishna. Yeah, so one does not need this material body, and he does not need to accept the dictations of material body. So actually one does not need material body. He actually, material body is given for us so that we can enjoy as we desire in the material world. Otherwise, we don't need a material body, right? Spirit is spiritual in nature. Why would it need to wear a material body? Material body is given only so that you can fulfill your desires that you have based on your past karma. If you don't have any past karma to enjoy the good or bad of your past actions, there is no need for a material body at all. So you do not need to come to the material existence at all. So we have to reverse the process. We are in this world, we are trying to enjoy in various ways. Now, how do you reverse? So the whole idea is to transfer the consciousness of the soul from the body to Krishna. Krishna is all spiritual. So the spirit is spiritual, Krishna is spiritual, body is material. Now, you being the soul, instead of focusing on the body, which is material, you focus on Krishna, which is spiritual. So that is the way of transforming or spiritualizing your life. Spiritualizing means focus your energy on the spiritual, which is God, right? So the qualities of material modes in the body will act, but spirit soul, the self, is aloof from such activities. How does he become aloof? He doesn't desire to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. He doesn't want to enjoy, nor to get out of it. He always, he's in the body, but he doesn't need to identify with the body, right? So just like water drop on the lotus, right? He's in the body, but his consciousness is always on God. Then whether he's in the body, in the material body or spiritual body, doesn't matter. So that is the way, that is where we want to get to. He doesn't desire to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. Thus, transcendentally situated, the devotee becomes automatically free. He doesn't try to become free from the influence of the, he need not try to become free from the influence of the modes of nature. So, devotee does not try to, oh, I should not eat this, I should not watch this. He doesn't need to do any of that. Why?
We won't feel like doing that for ourselves.
That is one good reason. The main reason is because he is devotee has spiritual engagements. Spiritual engagements mean there are so many good spiritual activities counter corresponding to the corresponding material activity that he is fully satisfied in those activities. For example, everybody need to eat, but if you cook in the consciousness of offering to Krishna and offer bhoga to Krishna and eat that as prasadam, right? Then you are doing the same activity, but you are not materially acting, spiritually acting. So by engaging in spiritual activities, naturally there is no time for engaging in the material activities. So from morning chanting till you finish everything and sleep, you are doing one after the other as a spiritual activity. So he need not try to become free from influence of the modes of nature. He doesn't need to act separately. It is automatically happening by his way of actions in this world. Right? Yeah. Please read further.
Next question concerns the dealings of a transcendentally situated person. The materially situated person is affected by so-called honor and dishonor offered to the body. But the transcendentally situated person is not affected by such false honor and dishonor. He performs his duty in Krishna consciousness and does not mind whether a man honors or dishonors him. He accepts things that are favorable to his duty in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, he has no necessity of anything material, either a stone or a gold. He takes everyone as his dear friend who helps him in his execution of Krishna consciousness, and he does not hate his so-called enemy. He is equally disposed and sees everything on an equal level because he knows perfectly well that it has nothing to do with the material existence. Social and political issues do not affect him because he knows the situation of the temporary evils and disturbances. He does not attempt anything for his own sake. He can attempt anything for Krishna, but his personal self, he does not attempt anything. By such behavior, one becomes actually transcendentally situated.
He does not attempt anything for his own sake. He can attempt anything for Krishna, but for his personal self, he does not attempt anything. So he is equally disposed, and see, so all these points are very powerful statements because of his focus on Krishna in everything, right? He performs his duty in Krishna consciousness and does not mind whether a man honors or dishonors. Sometimes we receive honor, sometimes dishonor, but as long as he did the thing in the proper way, he's well situated. He's not bothered about it. He accepts things that are favorable for his duty in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, he has no necessity of anything material, either a stone or gold. He takes everyone as his dear friend and who helps him in his execution of Krishna consciousness. Right? He thinks everyone is his dear friend, and he does not hate his so-called enemy. Doesn't hate his so-called enemy. He's equally disposed and sees everything on an equal level because he knows perfectly well that he has nothing to do with material existence. Yeah. Social and political issues do not affect him. He doesn't bother what is happening in this world, whether it's favorable to me or not. Because he knows situations of temporary upheavals and disturbances. He knows very well how things are going on. Mam chayo vyabicharena
Mam
Mamtayo
Chayo
Vibicharena
yogena sevate
Bhakti
Bhakti
Yogena
Yogena
Sevate
Sevate
gunan samati tyat samati chaitan
Sagunan Samatichaitam
bhuyaya kalpate.
Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate.
Yeah, very powerful verse. One of the verse people memorize because of his powerful statement. Mam means unto me. Who is speaking? All these verses. From last verse, it is Krishna answering Arjuna's question about how does a liberated person behave, right? So, Mam chayo vyabicharena. Avyabicharena. Right? Mam chayo avyabicharena. So, with single point focus. Vyabhichari means one who is, focused on multiple people or multiple things. Avyabhichari means it's single. There is no, I'm dedicated to, this one person, like that. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Mam means to me. Krishna is saying, whoever does with single focus, with no other distraction, what? Bhakti yogena sevate. Who performs bhakti yoga, performs devotional service. Very clear. No other type of yoga. Right? It didn't say karma yoga, gnana yoga, or anything. Sagunan samati tyaita. So, to such a person, Krishna, one who does, render devotional service to Krishna, so he gives the ability to see them equally. He raised them above, transcend. Samatitya means above, raise above, or transcend. What? Gunan means. So if you perform devotion service, you will get the ability to go transcend the modes, the influence of the modes. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Such a person will be elevated to Brahma, Brahman platform, or liberated state. Yeah. Please read.
One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the mode of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman.
One who engages in full devotion service. Full devotion service means everything he does. He's eating, sleeping. He sleeps only so that he can get up in the morning and chant the holy name. That's how he thinks. Raises kids, goes to shop to bring things for Krishna. Everything in, that is Krishna consciousness. Unfailing in all circumstances. Krishna is very clear. Give me your 100%. He's not like, okay, give me 20%, 30%. In unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of nature, at once, immediately, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Brahman means the platform of liberation, liberated state. Brahman platform. Brahma Bhuyaya. Okay? So that is the assurance of Lord. Just engage in my devotion service without any distraction. One who engages in full devotion service, unfailing in all circumstances. In all circumstances, some are favorable, some are unfavorable. Sometimes you may be in the jail, sometimes you may be in a hill or somewhere, anywhere, wherever you are, doesn't matter. Do not curse, do not think too much, just engage in devotion service. Doesn't matter why you are in that situation, don't ask. It's not because of God, it is only because of your past karma. Sometimes favorable, sometimes unfavorable, sometimes you lose somebody. Don't stop for anything. Devotion service. Continue it. And as long as you do that, you are immediately liberated. It's a testament, right? For example, Prahlad Maharaj was put in such difficult situations. He was sent with his the soldiers of Hiranyakashipu to, throw him out from a hill down. He was thrown. Lord Vishnu would, save him. He would always chant the name of Lord in all circumstances. Doesn't matter. He didn't say, oh, why I'm a devotee of Lord. Why these people are doing like this? He was put in a pit of fire, or with all the snakes around him. He never complained. Why? In every situation, he was protected by Lord. So, doesn't matter what situations you are in, you always engage in devotion service. Do not complain. Why? We think like we don't deserve any of this. And so we think, we should not be put in such situations. But doesn't matter. As long as you engage in devotion service, Krishna will take care of it. Right? Yeah, please read here.
This verse is a reply to Arjuna's third question. What is the means of attaining to the transcendental position? As explained before, the material world is acting under the spell of the modes of material nature. One should not be disturbed by the activities of the modes of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. Krishna activities are known as Bhakti Yoga, always acting for Krishna. This includes not only Krishna but his different plenary expansions such as Rama and Narayana.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, please continue.
He has innumerable expansions. One who is engaged in the service of any of the forms of Krishna or of his plenary expansions is considered to be transcendentally situated. One should also note that all the forms of Krishna are fully transcendental, blissful, full of knowledge, and eternal. Such personalities of Godhead are omnipotent and omniscient, and they possess all transcendental qualities. So, if one engages himself in the service of Krishna or his plenary expansions with unfailing determination, although these modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome, one can overcome them easily.
Yeah.
This,
So one should engage in Krishna service in all situations. Then one can easily overcome any of the challenges. Right? It can be any of the form of the Lord, Rama, Krishna, Narayana, any of these forms. Yeah. So I think it's all similar points here. Now please read this last.
thus, the qualification is to become Brahman or freed from all material contamination. It is said in the Vedic literature, Brahmaiva san Brahmapi eti. One can attain the supreme Brahman by becoming Brahman. This means that one must qualitatively become one with Brahman. By attainment of Brahman, one does not lose his eternal Brahman identity as an individual soul.
Yeah. So the Supreme Brahman is Krishna or any of these Vishnu forms. So to attain him, one should also be Brahman, means fully spiritually conscious, right? Or fully spiritual by his thoughts, actions, and deeds, right? By body, mind, everything. So just like if you want to become a military officer, you need to be trained, right? You cannot just become, one day you cannot wake up and be a military person. You want to become a doctor, you need training and practice. So to become a pure devotee and to go back to Krishna and be in the spiritual world, you need to be trained. Otherwise, you are not ready to be there. So devotion service is like the training, like that military training. But it can be done very happily and peacefully. You don't need to really change anything. You just need to change your consciousness and your actions. dedicated to God. So to be liberated means actually preparing oneself to leave the material world and go back to Krishna and be qualified to be there, right? So Krishna consciousness is simply the process of training oneself to be ready to be part of spiritual world. That's it. Simply, just like anything, just like colleges train us to become a doctor, Krishna consciousness will train us to be ready to be liberated and to be situated with the Lord in the spiritual world. If we have all the kama, krodha, lobha, greediness, and everything, all these material qualities, do you think we can be in the spiritual world where everybody is selflessly serving God? We feel very odd there. So until we attain that qualification, it's better we don't go there, right? So until we get there, those qualities, just like suppose a person is in the jail because of his, he did a murder or whatever, right? Or he did a burglary. As long as he has the mentality to be a burglar, to cheat somebody, is it any good to send him out? If he goes and mixes with the regular citizens who, what does he do again?
Trouble them.
Yeah, he will again trouble them. He'll do another burglary. So until he is fixed, he has to be in the jail, correct? So until his quality change, he should realize, he should get to realization that I need to change and I need to, get out of this, or, I need to become a normal person who doesn't have the habit of burglary. When the superintendent of police of the jail is convinced this person completely lost the taste for burglary and he wants to live by honest means, then he will send him. He might cut his punishment and send him out to join the society, regular society. Otherwise, he'll be a disturbance. So even our material world is like that jail. For all those people who are suffering from these 6 maladies, kama, krodha, lobha, mada, matsaryas, how can you transform out of them? So those are all because of the influence of the modes. We are doing everything under the influence of the modes. But by engaging in devotional service, one can get out of it. And when he gets out of it, he will lose all these unwanted qualities in his own life, right? Kama, krodha, lobha, madhamatsarya. When he is freed from all these qualities, he is liberated and he is ready to be in Vaikuntha. Now he is ready to join the Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha has many more people than here. Because jail always has less number of people, right? So that's why the population of the material existence is only considered 5% of the entire existence. 95% of people are actually where? In Vaikuntha. 5% of the, even though it may appear like, crores and crores of living entities in the material world, still that whole existence is just less than 10% of the totality of existence in the Vaikunthas. The bigger place is Vaikuntha, just like jail. There is no difference between living in the material world versus living in a jail. It's the same. The superintendent here is Durga, Mother Durga, right? She has all the Trishul and all. She will punish the wicked who do wrong things. Just like, the jail superintendent would punish if the jailer does some more mistakes. But when the jailer reads Bhagavad Gita and he transforms and he changes and the superintendent is convinced, he would allow him to get out. No problem. But you cannot just escape yourself. You cannot try to, jump out of the jail and reach spiritual world. That is impossible. You cannot do it by your own efforts. Only when your superintendent is pleased can you get out of it. So like that, when we transform ourselves fully, and we make ourselves qualified to get out of the material world, do we get to get out of this material existence? That is, to get out of the binding modes, the three modes, sattva, rajas, tamas gunas are binding us. So one has to act beyond that. That is how he will be liberated. So one last verse will complete this and end. Brahmano hi pratishtaham
Brahmano hi pratishthanam
amritasya vyavasya cha
amritasya vyavasya
Amritasya
cha
avasyata
sasvatasya cha dharmasya
sasvatasya cha
tasya
dharmasya
dharmasya
sukasyaikanttikasya cha.
sukasya ikantikasya cha.
And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness.
Brahmano hi pratishtaham. Brahman. So a lot of people have confusion that the ultimate truth is Brahman. They think it's not, they do not attribute the ultimate truth to be a conscious entity. We call that entity as Krishna. We call that personality Krishna, right? We have a personality Krishna who is that entity. We know his likes, his, what he wants. We know everything about him, right? Where he lived, who are his devotees, what did they do. We know everything about Krishna, or at least as much as needed. We know. But many people in the material world especially think the highest truth is Brahman, impersonal Brahman. So they do not attribute any qualities to Brahman. Brahman is pure consciousness. They think that the highest goal of the jiva in the material world is to merge into that, the super consciousness, they call super consciousness or impersonal Brahman. It's like effulgence into which one merges as he gets liberated. Actually, Krishna is clearly clarifying, I am superior to that Brahman. I am the foundation of that Brahman. So if you look at the diagram of Vaikunthas, the Vaikuntha planets themselves are surrounded by impersonal Brahman. It's like light emitting from the Vaikunthas that's surrounding everything around the planets. The whole space is filled with impersonal Brahman. Actually, what is that impersonal Brahman? That is actually considered the effulgence of the body of Krishna. And that's why Krishna says, I am the basis, I am the foundation of that Brahman. Many yogis, especially Jnana yogis and Ashtanga yogis, their goal is to merge into that Brahman. But what is that Brahman? That Brahman is just the effulgence of Krishna. And there they attain the ultimate peace. But suppose I give you an entire planet where you alone live. You have food, you have water, you have good dress, you have car, you have everything, but you are the only person in that planet. Can you be happy in that planet? If nobody else is there, you have everything that is needed for you. Can you ever be happy without a person to talk to, express your happiness or sadness? You are just the one person. Can you all be happy with nobody else around you?
No, Prabhuji.
Nobody.
Prabhuji.
Spirit needs another spirit soul to really share happiness, or nobody can be happy alone. You will be depressed actually, even if you have everything in the world, right? So that is the problem with merging into Brahman. You are merging into this Brahman where there is eternal peace, but there is no opportunity to serve. in the Brahmajyoti, you just merge into Brahman, and so the jiva by nature is happy when it engages in the service. It is the nature. Just like sugar's nature is sweetness, fire's nature is hotness and lightness, emitting light. The very fundamental nature of jiva, the soul, is to serve. When that service is taken away, he gets mad, he gets depressed. If you are supposed to be engaged in a way, if you are supposed to be engaged in some way, but you are not engaged, then you cannot be happy in this world. You have to be engaged, right? Nobody will be happy without engagement, right? But those people who merge into impersonal Brahman, they have no engagement. That is a real problem. The soul is active. Soul needs to be engaged. The best thing is to engage in the service of super soul or Lord Krishna, right? That is a problem with such liberation. But Krishna, here he is just clarifying, I am the basis. So many people think to attain impersonal Brahman is the highest, but clearly Krishna is saying, if I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, what is great? What is the highest thing to achieve? Is it Krishna or the impersonal Brahman?
Krishna.
Krishna. Very simple. Yeah. So this impersonal Brahman, which many people, many yogis, if you talk about this, if you talk about spirituality in India, especially in Vivekananda Institute or, so many groups, they only think the highest goal is impersonal Brahman. Merge into Brahman. That is the goal. You go and talk to anybody who talk about spirituality, they only talk, they never understand about, the source of that Brahman. That is the problem. It's very, very difficult for people to accept a personal God. It's very difficult because when we attribute godness to a person, it cannot fit in their mind. Because a person means like me and you. How can a person like you and me be God? That is the problem 99.99% of people deal with, even in the spirituality. They have no problem in accepting impersonal Brahman as the highest truth because it's logical, it appears, but it is far more difficult to accept Krishna as God because Krishna, I have so many limitations. I cannot fly, I cannot jump. So how can Krishna be God? They cannot believe it. They have a big trouble in accepting a personality, a person as God. But Krishna says, he is not like one of us, right? Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Right? Janma karma chame divyam. My janma, my karma are divyam, they are transcendental. One who understands the truth about my janma, Krishna's janma, and my karma, my actions in this world, they will be liberated right away. They don't need to go through anything. So that is Krishna's assurance, right? So Krishna is not like one of us. Many people have this problem in accepting. They think Krishna is a great personality or maybe one of the gods with some more powers than others. But he's not one of them. He's not comparable to Brahma. He's not comparable to any other form of the Lord also. He's the Supreme Lord. He is the source of everything. He is the Parabrahman. But a lot of people have difficulty in accepting, so they settle for accepting impersonal Brahman as the highest truth. Unfortunately, that's not the highest. So clearly here we can see that impersonal Brahman is actually a is a byproduct of me, like that. Please read this purport. It's very powerful.
The constitution of Brahman is immortality, imperishability, eternity, and happiness. Brahman is the beginning of transcendental realization. Paramatma, the super soul, in the middle of the second stage in transcendental realization, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the absolute truth. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Person. It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord.
So material world is just a manifestation of energy of the Lord, inferior energy of the Lord. Yeah, please continue.
The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature, and that is the spiritual touch in the material nature. When a living entity conditioned by this material nature begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, he elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme.
He gradually rises. He elevates himself from the position of material existence and rises to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. Right? So the first level is Brahman realization. Next level is Paramatma realization. The 3 levels, right? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are the personality of Godhead. These are the 3 levels of realization. At the first, Jiva is only materially conscious. Next, he understands the Brahman conception of nature. Sun can be realized in 3 levels. Sun is, one can understand sun by his light and heat. When you see the heat and light around you, you understand, okay, this is sun. You can say that. But heat and light is actually sourced where? From the sun disk on the sky. You can see sky and identify, hey, there is this circular disk that is the source of this sun's heat and light, right? That is the second level. So looking at just the heat and light is like Brahman realization. Just seeing the nature of something, the nature of something, what? Sun. Nature of sun is observed here in the form of heat and light. Yeah, that heat and light is sun, but actually the source of that heat and light is that disk called sun that is in the sky. When one accepts, actually all this Brahman effulgence is coming from Paramatma. There is that powerful, all-powerful sun that is in the sky that is emitting all this heat and light, or that Paramatma within the body of every living entity that is actually, the source of all this Brahman, that is Paramatma relation, right? When one recognizes the source of heat and light or the source of Brahman, that is Paramatma relation. When one understands actually that sun is not just a disk there, it is actually a planet, and in that planet there is a personality called Vivaswan, who is the sun god and who is emitting all this light from sun, right? And be able to connect with that personality, Vivaswan. That is the 3rd level of realization. That is Bhagavan relation. Bhagavan relation means, hey, this Paramatma is the sun disk is the source, but actually there is a personality behind it. And talking to that personality is the real understanding of sun, full understanding of sun. So that is Bhagavan relation. So that is how Brahman relation, Paramatma relation, and ultimately Bhagavan relation, the 3 levels of relation compare with each other, right? Brahman relation is actually, in fact, just the understanding that, we are the Jiva, the spirit soul, and its nature is eternal. It exists forever. Only when one understands the eternality of the Jiva, that is called Brahman relation. Second level of relation is realizing not just the eternality, but also the full knowledge of the gaining the knowledge of the soul, right? The Brahman is not just eternal existence, or the Jiva is not just eternal, it is also full of knowledge. That is Paramatma relation. And then realizing eternality, knowledge, and also blissful nature of the Brahman or the God, right? Three aspects now. So Brahman relation only gives relation of the eternality of the Jiva. Paramatma relation gives eternality and the knowledge, right? Understanding the knowledge that this Paramatma is the source of everything, that knowledge, right? So that is knowledge and eternality, right? Sat and Chit. Sat means eternality, Chit means knowledge. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Ananda is the third aspect of spirituality. Actually, this, when we serve Krishna, we become very happy, right? So when one understands that happiness exists only in Bhagavan realization, the highest, the third aspect of realizing the absolute truth. I hope I'm making sense. So there are three levels of realization. One, the lowest is Brahman. Second is Paramatma. Third is Bhagavan relation. The lowest relation gives the relation of Sat feature of the absolute truth. Sat feature is understanding that I am eternal, I am not temporary, I am not material, I am spiritual and I am eternal. Chit feature means, or the relation of the Paramatma means realizing both eternality, Sat, and Chit, which is knowledge. Knowledge that this Paramatma is the source of everything and all the energies in this existence. So that is Sat and Chit relation. That is Paramatma relation. And then above that is Bhagavan relation, which is Sat, relation of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Ananda aspect is there only in Bhagavan relation. That is why devotees are blissful when they engage in the service of the Lord, because the highest spiritual truth can be, when you engage in the highest spiritual truth, service of the highest spiritual truth, you will naturally become very happy, because that is your nature, right? So one has to be engaged in service. So the Bhagavan relation is full relation of God, because it has Sat, Chit, Ananda, three aspects. Yeah, continue reading from here. You will understand now.
At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to the material position, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and then gradually rise up to the Paramatma realization and then to the realization of Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of this in Vedic literature. The four Kumaras were situated first in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down.
So if you only realize Brahman aspect or the merging into Brahman, one may actually fall down. So this beautiful verse talks about that. 1 second. Oh, it didn't give the verse. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further, with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is a chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotion service. One needs to be engaged. Jiva, the soul, need to be engaged in the service of the absolute truth or Krishna. If he is not engaged, there is chance of falling down. It's a very big one. Yeah, please read this.
Devotional service to the Lord is very simple. One should always engage in the service of the Lord, should eat the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the deity, smell the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, see the places where the Lord had his transcendental pastimes, read of the different activities of Lord, his reciprocation of love and his devotees, with his devotees, chant always a transcendental vibration. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, and observe the fasting days commemorating the appearances and the disappearances of the Lord and his devotees.
So it's very easy to practice. Devotion service is relatively practical for anybody. Yeah, please continue.
By following such a process, one becomes completely detached from all material activities. One who can thus situate himself in the Brahma Jyotir or the different varieties of the Brahman conception is equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in quality.
So one should be engaged in the devotion service. Yeah. Okay. Any questions or any discussion points? We are ending the chapter 14. So we'll begin the chapter 15 next week onwards. So the three modes of material nature. So this topic will continue from here onwards, next chapter or two. Next chapter may not be, but the chapter after that. Because this is very powerful concept. How it helps us understand where we are. That is the reason it's a very practical topic. Okay, so if no questions, we'll end the call here. Thank you all very much. Continue.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.